I would like to take this time to thank each of you for coming to our 8th annual meeting. I think it's been a wonderful meeting, and we've had some wonderful speakers, and we still have some more to go. My name is Steve Holditch, and I'm going to be the president this coming year of TAMEST, and it's my distinct pleasure right now to introduce to you Bobby Alford. He's a distinguished service professor at the Baylor College of Medicine, and he's been the chancellor at the Baylor College of Medicine from 2004 until September of 2010. So Bobby was going to come up and introduce Senator Hutchison to you.
Thank you, Dr. Holditch. It is a special privilege for me to introduce today's luncheon speaker, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. Since her election to the Senate in 1993, Texas and the nation have greatly benefited from her incomparable and tireless service. Senator Hutchison is the first woman to be on the Texas U.S. Senate. During her terms in the Senate, she has established a well-deserved reputation as one of the Senate's leading advocates for science, education, technology, and competitiveness. She has been a strong advocate for better health care for our veterans, and she's been a strong advocate for NASA and safe human space flight and safe human space exploration. It's been a pleasure for me to have the privilege of working with Senator Hutchison on a number of things. Many regard the senator as possibly the most powerful woman in the Senate today. She is the senior Republican on the Senate Committee on Science and Transportation, and she serves also on the Appropriation Committee as well as 2 other Senate committees. During her tenure in the Senate, she has sponsored and co-sponsored numerous bills that have been enacted and have made a difference for her constituents and for the rest of the country as well. 2 of these bills in recent years are worthy of note: the America Competes Act and the bill to award a Congressional Gold Medal to Dr. Michael E. DeBakey. Yesterday, Michael Brown commented during the program that it was Senator Hutchison's goal and inspiration, as well as determination, 8 years ago, to advance science, research, and education in Texas. That led to what we know today as the Academy of Medicine, Engineering, and Science of Texas, and usually referred to as TAMEST. Having been able to interact with her on a number of occasions, I'm very pleased to have this privilege, as I said today, to introduce her. I would like to ask if you would join me in welcoming Senator Hutchison to the podium.
Well, thank you so much, Bobby, and thank you for the efforts that you have made and so many people in this room have made to really build something that will be a lasting treasure for Texas, and that is this organization. I'll start by saying that I hated to miss the meat of the program because normally in the last 8 years I have come for most of it. And I've enjoyed listening to it, but this year, of course, I was in Washington, and so I just got in. But since I did just get in from Washington, I thought I would start my speech today by reading the Constitution. Well, let me just start. I don't want to give all the basics about the starting of TAMEST too much, because most of you already know it, and all of you who are members have heard it so many times. I do want to say that it took so many different people to make this organization successful. And we couldn't have done it without our corporate sponsors, without our chancellors and presidents and heads of our medical schools who really paved the way of their academy members in the early days when we were just trying to live within a budget. Those of you who helped us raise now $10 million for the operational endowment, and the ones who've served as president year after year and building it. All of this together. But I do want to say a special thank you to our Nobel laureates. In fact, Michael Brown, who's just left, and Dick Smalley were the founding co-chairs, as we all know. And when we were having our summits in Washington for 5 years with our research experts and the federal government agencies that were doing research so that I could get the minds of Texas and the federal priorities together, the idea for TAMEST came about. And it was because I wanted to have a different atmosphere in Texas for our research institutions. And after all of the discussion, this is what I asked our scientists, our chancellors and presidents to do. And it was basically simple. It was first to create your own centers of excellence. Don't try to do what other people are doing. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Be the best in something. And then let me help you through federal research dollars. Let me help you build on those centers of excellence. And then secondly, collaborate, don't compete. 10 years ago, if you had said, yes, all of our universities are going to come together and they're going to share what we've been doing and they're going to sing Kumbaya and march off and do research together, we would have said, I don't think so, because there was such a spirit of competition. But that didn't work anymore because our federal dollars, what I wanted to do was create the centers of excellence, put them together so that you have a better capability for the best research. And so then the question came up, well, but we don't really know what's going on in the other institutions. We don't know what research is being done in Dallas and Houston and San Antonio because we don't really know the other people in the field. So that was the beginning of TAMEST. And I have to say that the Nobel laureates are the ones who set the structure of TAMEST. I would have done it a totally different way. And fortunately, when they said, oh, you need to be the one who organizes all this, I said, no, for this group, it is the Nobel laureates who are the rock stars, not a politician. And so Michael Brown and Richard Smalley came together, and then Robert Curl, and so many of our other Nobel laureates came together, and they set the structure, which was totally different from what I would have thought as coming from my background. And the key is they wanted to have the protégés in the meetings. They wanted the protégés, the next generation of great science leaders, to be included so that they would be the ones that would be sparked to do the next research projects that we're going to create what is going to make life different in our country. And they're the ones, when Peter O'Donnell, and Carolyn, thank you so much, Carolyn Bacon, for being the catalyst for all of the Peter and Edith O'Donnell Foundation projects. When Peter O'Donnell said, you know, he sat there through all the early meetings, and he said, this is something that we need to do. And so he put the money behind it. He said, I want to give awards for the great research that's being done in Texas to promote it. It was the Nobel laureates who said, it can't go to any of us. In fact, it shouldn't even go to one of our members. who's already an Academy member, because we have already achieved so much. We need the new research to be the award winners. That's how we'll bring the great research minds to Texas. And that's exactly what they did. So you got to see last night the great next generation leaders and what they are doing and the encouragement that we are giving them with the very generous O'Donnell Awards. And of course, the fact that it's our Nobel Laureate Committee who picks the winners makes it even more prestigious. So I've had the reports from Lindsay Parham, who is my chief of staff, who has been at the very beginning of TAMEST. I've had the reports every day on the different speeches and the programs, and clearly this is one of our great successful meetings. But let me just tell you what has happened since we started TAMEST, and we started with the two missions of collaborate, don't compete, and have your own centers of excellence so that we have the best in the different institutions in Texas. We have gone from 6th in the nation, states getting federal research dollars, into our institutions of higher education. We were 6th when I went on the Appropriations Committee. Today, because of all of the efforts of the founders of this organization, we are 3rd in the nation, only behind California and New York, and we're right on the heels of New York. We are nipping at their heels. They were at it longer, but we're moving faster. And that's what I'm so excited about, and that's why I want to bring in more of our great researchers and Nobel laureates to help us continue this propelling of the research that is adding to the basis of our economy. So here are some examples of things that have happened because of our collaboration. Lone Star 4, our Texas supercomputer. It is the University of Texas at Austin, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Dell, and Intel. And again, Peter O'Donnell started with the seed money for the supercomputing operations that were coming out of the University of Texas. And now with the industry partnerships and this consortia of our great research universities, we are going to be in the forefront of computer modeling for energy, biology, physics, cybersecurity, and on and on. This is something that was so good that the National Science Foundation gave us a $9 million grant for it. So that's excellence. That's competing on the merits. That's not earmarks. That is because we showed that we could do it in the very best way, and we met the test of peer review. The Center for Transportation and Electricity Convergence, UT Austin and Texas A&M, have partnered with several industry leaders, some of which are in the room now. And again, the National Science Foundation has put in $7.5 million to this consortium for this center. This center is going to study and recommend the best methods of integrating the power grid, new roadway networks, and infrastructure systems for serving growing electric car demands. Now, all of you know the practical reality of electric cars. They're great, but there are very few of them, and they have very few places to get the apparatus for the fuel and all the things that you have to do one, and it's kind of a hassle, but it's a great new thing. Well, what this organization, this center, can do with automobile manufacturers, electric utilities, regulatory agencies are going to be able to come in and see how we can make these work better and certainly have a more user-friendly way of operating. And obviously having batteries that can store electricity longer is part of that. So this is going to be a very important new generation